The quick start guide to dominating on Rogue at 60, starting with your Priebus. This is a set that focuses on getting the Dark Mantle 4 set. If you don't have the gold for this, you can go for Shadowcraft, that's totally fine. Make sure you have at least 5% hit, the Broken Bottle of Goblin Noir, and the Craft of the Shadows Ring. Try to maintain the Dark Mantle 4 set or the Shadowcraft 6 set, meaning you try to reach those set bonuses without the use of your head and boot slots, since you may be swapping those out for other engineering items during PvP. Your BIS focuses on getting the Night Slayer 6 set, very straightforward. You'll either run the build on the left for optimized open world PvP, which is a spec that focuses on kill chaining around remorseless attacks with the control that improved sprint and preparation give you. You'll run the spec on the right when you're in BGs, getting the valuable cooldown reduction from endurance and the safety net of Master as sub. Every single point in both of these builds is hyper value. Make sure you get your engineering to 300 and pick up as many gadgets as you can. If gold is an issue, focus on getting grenades, rocket helmet, and mind control cap. Your second profession is entirely for gold making, so that's completely up to you. Your rune setup is as follows: Combat Potency, Blunderbuss, Slaughter from the Shadows, Carnage, Cutthroat, Step, Between the Eyes, Master as Sub, Defense Specialization to potentially miss some auto attacks from melee players, Nature Specialization to hit cap your blind, and I think that's everything. There is of course an option to gear swap for other runes, but this is a much more advanced technique and something I won't cover in this guide since most people just want to get in and start thrusting. Make sure you have Crippling on your main hand for safety and Sebaceous on your offhand. There are some other funky setups you can do, but again, ultra min-max and not for this type of guide. If enough people want it, I'll do another one with lots of different things like Mind Numbing on the main hand, Sebaceous on the offhand, Waylay on the boots, etc. I'll jump into the game again and go through some consumables and items for prosperity, but just bear in mind the vast majority of these are not required for you to jump on and beat almost every player in the game. So these are as follows: Gnomish Death Ray, Dark Moon Card Torment. This is absolutely mandatory in my opinion. In fact, I'll go through the mandatory things first. Dark Moon Card Torment is absolutely mandatory. Thistle Tea, Iron Grenades or Thorium Grenades, whichever you want, and Skull of Impending Doom. Everything else completely optional and up to you. In fact, we can throw in bandages as well. I'd say heavy Runecloth bandages are 100% mandatory. So, PvP Trinket, Gnomish Cloak and Device, all 3 reflectors, Void Powered Slayer's Van Braces, so obviously these make you immune to fear. Excuse me, Harm Prevention Belt, Spider Belt, Niodine Pill Bottle, Dark Moon Card Decay, Spirit Weapons, which allow you to regen quicker. Both helmets, Cat's Eye Goggles, Swift Boots, Whipperroot Tubers, Goblin Rocket Boots, Gnomish Rocket Boots, Weapon Swaps of Poisons, Ultra Min-Max, I shouldn't go into that. Goblin Sapper Charge, Major Healing Potion, Magic Dust, Restorative Potions, all different types of potions, Flash Bombs, Powerful Anti-Venoms, Gnomish Netta Magic Protector, Elixir of Poison Resistances, Good Food, Free Action Potions, Limited Vulnerability Potions, and obviously I mentioned the bandages. There are a couple more items you can get, but I do not have those. One of them would be the miniature fire extinguisher from the new 5-man and the PvP trinket, or the upgraded PvP trinket from the new 5-man, which just gives you a base plus 20 shadow resistance. A couple recommended add-ons would be an energy tracker. I like to use Rouge UI or Nug Energy, but Nug Energy isn't updated. Trinket menu, which is this add-on over here, which allows you to swap trinkets really easily with a couple of clicks. Item rack, which is down here. This is more for rune swapping and everything else, and some item swapping, of course. I like to use Leatrix Plus to move my frames, so everything is a bit more centralized and things aren't off to the corners of my screen, which helps with my awareness. And I would 100% recommend getting Diminish, which is a DR tracker, since you don't have the luxury of using things like Gladdy in the open world, which would track diminishing returns otherwise in Arena. If you would like to pick up my UI, which includes like all the different goodies in here, you can jump into my Discord and throw me a little Twitchy Pete. Of course, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Otherwise, in the Discord, there are plenty of resources in there and just good chats with the boys. Everyone in there is really, really cool. You can ask pretty much any question you want and people will happily help you out. The absolute vast majority of the time, people are really, really cool in the Discord that we have. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I should really go through. One of the most common questions that people ask me is, how do I deal with orcs? This is actually quite a simple thing, and it has quite a simple solution. You predict RNG by CCing first, and then cheap shotting or using a stun from a 90-degree angle and pre-running. This allows you the time, space, and global to potentially react should your stun not work. The other question I get is kidney versus between the eyes. The first thing is between the eyes is ranged, costs an extra 10 energy, but can do a heinous amount of damage. So usually against targets which can resist your stun, you'll want to use kidney shot instead, since you will have 10 more energy to potentially play with, and also an opportunity to lock them down for longer, assuming that they have further chances in that duel to resist other forms of your lockdown. So you may reset the fight and get another cheap shot off. Maybe the fight lasts so long that you have 3 or 4 cheap shots that you can get off. Imagine they resist all 3 or 4 of those cheap shots, let's say. Having that one kidney land that lasts 6 seconds may give you the extra second of control you need to kill them before they kill you, since damage in SOD is incredibly high. So it turns out I went the entire guide and I completely forgot to put the rotation in. So you'll be playing Backstab the vast majority of the time, since it's ever so slightly better than Mutilate. Mutilate can be more value against some targets, but that's a bit more advanced when you use things like rune swapping. The way you will open against the vast majority of classes will be a cheap shot on energy tick, so right here, into a backstab, into a second backstab, into a gouge. This assumes you have the ring. You'll pull your energy, you'll either kidney or between the eyes. Again, we spoke about when you do this, and then you just spam damage and use your ambush procs when you have ambush procs. The targets that can resist, or mages. Mages are a very important class to get crippling up on. Sap can proc your crippling, so against really good mages, you want to sap 3 times, 2 triple DR to make sure you get a crippling up when you start the duel. And then your cheap shot from a 90-degree angle, like this. This is against targets that can resist. Then open, then kidney, or between the eyes, and then pump damage using your ambush procs when you get them. Very, very simple.